She planted roses the first year we married. It soon was a garden we'd go walking through. My job kept me traveling, but when I came home to heaven, she was so proud to show me how the love that she grew. I heard her talking one day to an old friend. She said, I don't want to hurt him, but it's out of control. I feel so guilty, 'cause he'll be so helpless. He won't understand why I've just got to go. Now I come to the garden alone. All my reasons I once had for living are gone. Sometimes when I feel like I just can't go on, I come to the garden alone. No one can imagine just how much I miss her. I'd give up this whole world to once more hold her near. It's just beyond me why God took her from me. I bet the flowers in heaven are looking better this year. Now I come to the garden alone, where the dew kissed the roses, the weeds now have grown. Sometimes when I feel like I just can't go on, I come to the garden alone. Oh, I come to the garden alone.
That was The Garden by Vern Gosdin, and I'm happy to be here today with Vern. You're on tour right now with Conway Twitty and George Jones.
George Jones, yeah.
How long have you been on this tour?
Since first of the year, and we're coming up to we're going to take a little break working together and separate for a while, and hopefully we'll come back together before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. About March 1st you'll be finishing this up.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been in the business for a long time, and you kind of had a turnaround in '90. You had bypass surgery.
Yeah.
And when did you sign on Columbia?
About 3 albums ago.
About 3 albums
About
ago.
4 years ago, I think, yeah.
And it made a big difference in your career?
Oh, yeah. Columbia is a record label. It's a major label, and they sort of got their act together. I never knew that a record label had to be a major label, or I'd just sign up with any of them. I think I've been on every independent label in the world at one time or another.
You, I understand you said one time you were just ready to give it up until you...
I'd gotten to the point I was about ready to give up the business and just move out of Nashville, but I don't think I could ever give up songwriting. Trying to sing them, you know.
We're so glad you didn't.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your videos. You've made 3?
I believe 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah, well, the first 2 I noticed you sat. I wondered if it was because you were uncomfortable doing the video. The last one, you were more out and moving around a little bit.
No, I just done what they told me to do. Maybe they thought I was uncomfortable.
That just about good, but what's the use? That just about does it, don't it?
The last video now, how did that come about, or what, the song?
The month of Sundays?
A Month of Sundays.
Well, I don't admit this too often, but I went out one night and got a little bit too much. It's unusual for me.
Haven't we all?
And I woke up the next morning, I felt like a semi had run over my head. And I said, Lord, it's going to take me a month of Sundays to get over this, you know. And I wrote it down, and it wasn't until a week later that I gave it to a friend of mine, John Northrup. And him and Buddy Cannon started writing it. And they called me on the phone, gave me the lyrics over the phone.
Bingo.
And I sat down and finished it up and recorded it.
That's great. Well, we really do enjoy it. Okay, now when you're not on the road, you have an amphitheater that you
I got
built?
down in, it's just, if you're going south on 65 out of Tennessee into Alabama, it's right over the Tennessee-Alabama line behind the Welcome Center.
You live in Alabama.
No, I live in Tennessee.
You live in Tennessee. What's the name of it? It's a long...
It's Rocket City Country Music Amphitheater.
Right, Rocket City CMA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when did you open?
We opened August 3rd last year.
August 3rd.
Couldn't get everybody in. It just tickled me to death. Now this coming year, we've got George Jones coming in one date, and Conway, of course, and I'm doing one. And they're working on a couple, 3 more artists that we don't have them pinned down yet, so be better not to mention it yet.
Yeah. Were you there very often yourself, or?
Well, I just did one date last year.
One date.
Probably just do one this year.
Right.
I don't want to burn myself out, you know.
Right. Well, do you get home and off the road very often? And
Well, lately I hadn't been, but I think I got a couple of weeks off coming up, which I look forward to it. But then when I get home and off the road, I don't want to go back on the road again, you know.
Right.
Got to have it.
Well, what do you do when you're home? Well, how do you relax? Or
Brush up on a few songs, and right now I'm getting ready to do another album, and
that's what I wanted to know. What?
And I'm working on a few songs and trying to get them all together and get them ready to record.
Well, how many songs now do you have off of this album? The name of it?
Out of My Heart.
Out of My Heart.
I think I got them all except one. You know, somebody else asked me that question. Just why the reason I think I know, but I'm still not sure.
Were you bringing the title song out as a single?
I believe it might be my next single. I know I wouldn't bet on it, but there again, I don't do that either. I just let them handle it.
Let them handle that. Well, I hope when they decide that you'll do a video for it too, because we really do enjoy putting them on the air.
Thanks.
And we enjoyed having you here with us today.
It's
and
my pleasure.
Hope when you're back around the area you can do it again. Okay, if you take us back to the show, introduce your last video for us. And
okay, here's my latest video, and it's called Month of Sundays.
Month of Sundays. On his country
And
video.
that's Robin in there in the background, the drummer.
Right. I
thought I'd throw that in.
I saw she has it's a Hard Country, Vern Gosdin Hard Country T-shirt. Right, so you look for Robin too. Thank you, Vern.
There must have been 100 parties, and I hit everyone in town. Now the sun is a-coming up, and this room is turning round. Outside the church bells are ringing, I can't hardly stand the pain. This pounding in my head is nearly driving me insane. It's gonna take a month of Sundays to get me over Saturday night. If I look half as bad as I feel, then I must be a sight. Oh, I'd give everything at home for anything to make it right. It's gonna take a month of Sundays to get me over Saturday night. get home where I belong, I wouldn't be crawling in. I wouldn't be laying here with that echo of that honky-tonk crowd and listening to the sunrise, even that's a little too loud. It's gonna take a month of Sundays to get me over Saturday night. If I look